Sorry. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. We are very glad that you are here. Welcome to the admin user group meeting, March 31st. And if you are in Central Texas, like Zach said, we hope you're enjoying this beautiful spring weather and the blue bonnets. It is far better than the deep freeze we had about a month ago. Tonight it's just Zach and I. It's Cindy's oldest son's birthday, so she gets a pass for the evening. So here's the agenda for tonight. We're just going to run through some announcements, and then pretty much the rest of the meeting, we get to hear Stephen talk about the new Salesforce release. So that's going to be really cool. But before we hop into that, as always, we are extremely grateful to Maravis for allowing us to borrow their Zoom on such a regular basis. So thank you so much, Kate. And we'd like to give it over to you for a few moments.
Sure thing, and I'm happy to do it. And I love hearing that the bluebonnets are blooming. That is one of my favorite things in Texas, and I miss it dearly. So if you've been to user group meetings here before, you know this drill. You probably know Maravis, and you're so tired of seeing the slide. But we're obviously happy to continue to host you guys during the pandemic. So grateful that we can be a part of this group and continue to facilitate the conversations around the platform. If you're not familiar with Maravis, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We partner with Salesforce to get veterans and military spouses trained and into Salesforce careers within the ecosystem. And we always love to tell you guys a little bit about what we're doing. So we're going to have a couple of cohorts coming up. Several of you, I think, attended our last Maravis Mixer, which was all about networking around different career tracks. Some of our events are open to the public. Our webinars, we just did a discussion with Stephanie Herrera on Tuesday of this week around sort of navigating the Trailblazer community. So there's lots of really great content that you all are welcome to join. Our programs are specific to veterans and military spouses, but we love bringing you all in as volunteers and as coaches and as advocates. So I have here just a couple of different ways that you can get involved with the organization. I am just a tweet or an email away. So if you do have specific questions or there's something specific you want to talk through, please let me know. We are always looking for volunteers and support, and because we're headquartered in Austin, you guys usually are so welcoming to all of our graduates to get them pulled into jobs and into the community. So we're grateful for all of the support that we've continuously have from you guys over the past few years. So that's a little bit about Maravis. If you have any questions, I'll be on chat during the presentation today. And with that, I will turn it back over to Chris and Zach.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kate. I know we say this every time we meet, but we really do appreciate it. We certainly couldn't do this without you. So thank you very much. On to some announcements. First and foremost is a huge congratulations to Nadina Lispin and Laura Black. Nadina's on the call. And if for those who aren't aware, they were both named Salesforce MVPs this last spring. Which is a huge honor. Congratulations to both of them. Very well deserved. I personally have worked with Nadina in the past, and I have to say, it couldn't have happened for a better person, and I'm sure Laura is the same. So congratulations to both of you. Very well deserved. Next, Spring 20 maintenance is due on April 9th. So if you have a Salesforce certification, admin certification, and you have not completed your Spring 20 maintenance, please be sure to do that. April and May meeting planning is ongoing, so stay tuned for those dates to be released soon. BAM classes are ongoing. Zach, I know you went to the meeting recently. You have anything you want to share on that?
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on BAM yet, so I'm going to defer to Patricia because we have the amazing Patricia if she wants to talk about it.
Yeah, we had our just finished our March class. We have BAM classes every other month, and they're 2-hour sessions, 4 weeks. So people get a lot of kind of ongoing training in a month, and then once they're basic trained, the next class they can take the next up class. And we have a beginner class and a sort of beginner 2 and a level up where they're kind of maybe looking toward certification. And then this time we had a flow class, and I think flow is good training for anybody. We just finished last night, and the next classes start on the coveted May the 4th be with you date. So you'll probably see lots of invitations to come teach or share the link with people that need to learn Salesforce for free on that schedule. So
Awesome.
that's all about
Thanks.
BAM.
Perfect. Thanks, Patricia. Next is we do have some swag to give out at the end of the meeting, so stick around for that. There are some CPQ meetups hosted by Katie Rudd. If you're interested in that, there's a meetup group. When we post this deck in the community, we will include that link. And lastly, this is a big deal. Austin has a new Salesforce user group, and it is all around Marketing Cloud. So there is a contact email listed here. Again, we will post this deck in the community, so you will have access to that email. If you're interested in that, feel free to reach out. It's awesome. We have a new group in town. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Zach.
Want to add one more thing. Kate may have another. Oh, I thought Kate wanted to do an announcement. Sorry, Kate. Never mind. Anyways, very excited to introduce Stephen Frers to talk about the Spring 21 release. We did so good. We updated the slides to be to be
21.
Yeah, it's spring. It's not winter, but so
good.
User group.
I mean, we can backtrack, but you know, I think we already marked the tape on that.
So if you've seen our slideshows, you'll see we always mess up one date somewhere in there. So
Okay.
True to the brand. But Stephen Frers has done a few of these presentations. I think this is the 5th one. It's
Fifth one, I think, for the Austin group. Yep.
Yep, he's, I believe he's still a director of customer success for the Texas region over at Salesforce.
Mm-hmm.
Over 30 years of experience in customer service, business ops, and IT strategy. He has 5 girls. He was an Austinite for 23 years, grew up in South Texas, and he has loads of Salesforce experience, and I'm very excited to have you, Stephen.
Well, thanks as always, Zach, for the kind introduction. Hi, folks. Glad to be with y'all again. This is y'all's presentation, so if there's any questions as we go along, feel free to raise your hand or put something in the chat. So between myself, Chris, and Zach, we'll keep an eye on the chat window. But yeah, again, I've put together what I think are some relevant content, but if we need to kind of veer off of that, we can do that. And then the last thing I'll say is just, I may not know the answer to all the questions, but I'll certainly track down someone who does. So just be patient with me on that. So with that, let me see if I can get my share. There we go. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. We're off to the races. All right, cool. As everyone knows, I've got to state this. I will categorically say that the Slack acquisition has not been completed. So y'all may have some questions on Slack. I can answer some things. Other things I may just not have the answer for at all, because I don't know a whole lot about timing or anything like that, nor would I be privy to that. So just want to make sure that we're all cool with the forward-looking statement that most of us probably have tattooed on our brains by this point. So we'll just jump right into it and kind of tackle some of the user productivity. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I have really been waiting for this sort of last gap from sharing from Classic into Lightning, and so we finally have that manual sharing screen that was so elusive for so long, and thankfully it's comprehensive. It's not just standard objects. So if you haven't signed up for that beta, I think it is an open beta that anyone can participate in. So you just have to request it. Same thing on the in-app learning. So if any of you are using My Trailhead, you can integrate that directly into Salesforce. And this is really kind of just extending on the in-app guidance that we started about 2 years or so ago, maybe 18 months. And with the development and evolution of in-app guidance, the natural next step was to kind of make that fully integrated with My Trailhead and being able to, push the right content to folks during the business process. And that kind of leads me into the new guidance center and being able to make not only the guidance piece of it and the learning, but also just help articles and just the general method on how you're engaging users around kind of guidance and training at the right moment. So we've also added some more rich text or rich capabilities, rich media capabilities to in-app guidance. See this little GIF running here that just makes it a little bit more in line with some kind of modern UI guidance mechanisms. I really like this too, especially if you're training users and they need to do some work for a while and then come back to picking up their guidance. Any questions so far? I've kind of covered that fairly quickly, but wanted to make sure we finished on time.
I think
All right. So,
Excuse me.
yes. Hi.
Sorry. I was trying to eat a cracker and I got caught.
Busted.
For the in-app guidance, like today, I know we can put in-app guidance on pages, and it's based on the page. With this new enhancement, do we have the ability to have it trigger based on some place that they are on the page, or is it still just object level?
It's really just at the page level. And so when you're configuring that, you're really designing it around the view of that page. Now, with some of the introduction of things like dynamic actions and dynamically visible sections and components and so forth, that will become a little bit more complex. But the Guidance Center is really the place to go to set that up. But it's not going to be conditional like that just yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Good question. Thank you. All right, so moving on into search, we've moved some of the Einstein search. We're just really calling it natural language search now. Thankfully, we're reducing the number of things we call Einstein. But natural language search is an open beta that's moving into to mobile. We've got also some other exciting mobile things if y'all haven't seen those yet. But just being able to do simple queries or simple actions on the go is pretty cool. And then certainly more in terms of enhancing our search capabilities. The speed in which we're doing some of that search, we've kind of revamped the backend and engine for that. Not only that, but other kind of AI-related capabilities. But that's really helping us in terms of being able to translate these sort of contextual or text-based search criteria and really understand the context of how that's being done. So the short message here is, if you haven't enabled Einstein Search in your org, please do so. It's well worth the investment and time to get it up and running, and it is a pretty simple deployment. All right. Some of my favorite things with reporting and operational analytics. We finally got the ability to move multiple fields at one time. For any of those you remember, like way back, kind of pre Aura UI, it was a similar problem, and then they fixed it with kind of Classic, if you will, and then it went away with Lightning. So it's back, and finally we've got just a little bit more ease of use. We did finally close the gap on the dashboard URL parameters. We've been having that capability for reports for a couple of years, but the dashboards was considerably more difficult just because of the way we re-architected the framework for dashboards. So we finally got that incorporated, and it kind of follows the same naming convention and so forth that you're familiar with on the other URL parameters. All right, so this is pretty exciting. Salesforce meetings. For those of you that haven't seen the live demo of this, go to YouTube, look it up. It is, I think, a really exciting direction that we're taking, sort of this new normal in terms of engaging folks a lot more virtually, doing in-call guidance and so forth. There's, and don't quote me on this, I think that there is some base functionality or license that's included with Performance and Unlimited Edition, but I am no longer in sales and can't represent whether or not you're going to get it in your org or not, but it is something worth looking into. And I will say that, in terms of deploying something like this, quite candidly, and I'll even say off the record, we got to get the performance criteria sort of established on what the business is expecting this to do in terms of scaling it up. But that being said, it is a pretty exciting turn in our platform, and I think that the kind of future that we have with integrating our other clouds and technologies into this platform is definitely something that's pretty exciting as well. So anyway, I just wanted to spend a hot minute on that one and kind of go over the Salesforce meetings and encourage y'all to look into it. I included some slides in here. I'll pass the slide deck along after our discussion today, but there's some info here on kind of getting it started and sort of what a meeting digest looks like, and how to read and lay out the screen and so forth. I think one of the nice, really cool things that I like here is that the user can sort of set up their orientation of the meeting the way that they want before the meeting starts. So there's not a lot of sort of shifting, shared screens around or anything like that. The salesperson or the user, Salesforce user, can sort of control that layout and have it all predefined, including even pinned content, links and so forth, spreadsheets and things of that nature, so that they really have complete control of sort of what's being presented when and that sort of thing. So it's pretty neat with Meeting Studio. I know that there's definitely some plans to integrate Experience Cloud, or formerly known as Community Cloud, more tightly with this. So definitely some good things to come there. All right, this is pretty exciting for those of you that kind of step both into the marketing world and the Salesforce core CRM world. The ability to add an actual account without having sort of person accounts in play has really never been a capability with Salesforce campaigns, and now it is. And so I think this is something that for those that kind of support a lot of marketing capabilities in your orgs, spending some time looking at how this is going to enhance those downstream marketing activities and being able to sort of group those campaigns or events or things of that nature at the account level rather than at a contact level is pretty exciting. So I can just think back to lots of customizations I've done in the past to try to get some of that stuff done, and now there's some standard functionality around it. And so it's going to behave pretty much just like a lead or a contact, where you now just have an additional option there where you can add accounts and then track them through those, do the ROA analysis and so forth that you're used to. All right, so on to opportunity management. We're adding some more first-class capabilities to opportunity product. So we've been kind of on this steady clip of adding more kind of first-class object features and functionality to many of our standard objects that did not get a lot of love early on. So opportunity product has been one we spent some time on, and particularly here around relationship to other objects. And so that just opens up some additional reporting and analytics capabilities, makes sort of UI and even flow and process builder functions work much more seamlessly. All right, so I'll take another quick pause. How's everybody doing? Any questions so far? All right, who's keeping me honest on time? Is that you, Zach?
Yep.
Because I just realized we're already at the bottom of the hour, so.
You're doing great on time. I do have a quick question. Salesforce meetings going to have a confetti overlay?
It probably will. It wouldn't surprise me. And I hear there's more options other than confetti coming, so don't hold me to that either. But there might be some rainbows and unicorns coming, so I don't know.
Stephen, I actually have a quick question about Salesforce meetings as well. So we have some resellers that are partner users. Any plans for that functionality to be accessible via a partner community?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know of any plans for that, but I mean, that would be a fantastic question to ask in the Trailblazer community, because the product managers, especially since it's a brand new product, they're all over that group right now. So I would encourage you to just, either throw that out there as an idea or just a question, because they would definitely probably get back with you with some sort of direction on that.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right, so more Lightning email capabilities, and this one is another one of those like, OMG, I'm so glad you finally did this. Being able to actually use the Lightning email templates for alerts, and I think that closes almost all of the gaps that we had from classic email templates, if I'm not mistaken. There's I think I've got another slide in here on rich text capability, which was another thing that just befuddled me why we didn't have that in Lightning templates, but we do now. And okay, yes, I forgot I included this one, the kind of soft bounces. If someone's mailbox is full because they're out of office, or some other intermediary failure delivery. And so that gives you the added benefit of not treating it like a hard bounce, which would then completely, maybe opt them out of, certain things. You can treat that differently now. And for those of you that have, I think it's our inbox license, or maybe it's our Sales Cloud inbox. There's a couple of license nuances there, and as well as our high velocity sales. We've got kind of delayed sends. We're trying to bring a lot more of that email client capability into the UI, primarily because it helps you improve the efficiency and the click flow for high volume activity. And so it's not for everyone, but it is something to consider for folks that do have kind of high volume activity or transactional type work. It can just really help speed things up by embedding email in there. And so we've been adding a lot more functionality to our enhanced email capabilities.
On the
Same thing goes with
templates,
calendar. Yes, please, go ahead.
sorry. On the templates, this was an ask that I had pending. So, and I apologize
Yeah.
to everyone. I clearly haven't completed my certification for this period. The email templates in Lightning require you to select an object if you want to integrate fields, but then you're restricted to the fields in that object. Whereas in Classic, we could have different fields from different objects.
Walk up the tree.
Is that part of this release?
It is not part of this release. It is not that I recall, but it is definitely on the roadmap. So I think once we get a firm date for that, then I can just share it back with the team or whatever. But it'll definitely be, I think, widely communicated once that capability is there.
Just thought I'd check. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Great. So this one, just from my former admin days, just drove me crazy that you couldn't sort of pre-configure layouts for users and so forth. And so I think this is finally getting to the point where enough people have made us think about being able to help consistency in user experience that you can now customize Calendar Home for users, and so that way there's something familiar in there. It's consistent with the way you train folks, and really avoids confusion when users have to walk through some setup process that they're never going to use again. And so it's I think this is a well-received new feature. So let's move into Service Cloud and specifically around case management. As I think most of you that spend some time in the Service Cloud world have noticed, more and more has been going into the setup assistant for Service Cloud, and it's really kind of almost really involved into its own sort of setup experience now, and I expect that to continue. It's going to be consistent with all of our setup environments and builders and so forth, but it is I think the things that are unique and specific to Service Cloud. There are several areas that I think warrant remaining a separate setup assistant. But all that being said, I think pulling more of this in, things like having pre-built quick text and macros, that just helps accelerate how quickly you can get environments stood up and so forth. Also, for those of you that use macros, and if you haven't used macros, spin up a sandbox, go try it out. It's not as hard as you think. Definitely, I think we'll take a look at this new feature here. This is the ability to have multiple tabs through the recorded macro path to be referenced, not only for closing, but opening, switching focus, etc. So it just makes, again, those repetitive sort of tasks where you need to present the agent or the user with a ton of information that's sort of organized in different layers. This now helps kind of surface or enable a lot more of that complexity without making it look complex on the screen. So anyway, that's my roundabout way of trying to sell you on go use macros. So I think it'll be worth the investment in time. I know a lot of folks have been asking questions in prior meetings around Einstein Analytics, which is now called Tableau CRM, for those of you that haven't caught the new messaging. So I included just a little bit in here that we've kind of gone through the official renaming. So anything that you used to see called Einstein Analytics, it's now called Tableau CRM, and thankfully I think that my little joke earlier about naming everything Einstein, this is another area where it made sense, right, for us to really shift our analytics into the Tableau kind of family of products, because that's really where all of that work is being done. So for anyone that sees references or older references to Einstein Analytics, and you see Tableau CRM, that's why they're both in the same spot. So for Experience Cloud, I think many of you heard that also kind of got rebranded in the last 6 months or so to Experience Cloud, and it's really designed or intended to sort of broaden the exposure of other products in our portfolio. You know, thanks to the success of you, our customers, we've been successful and had the opportunity to you know, move into some pretty exciting new technologies. And so with that, Experience Cloud is the platform for that. And this particular feature, having custom domains for Sandbox, it's just been one of those thorns in your side as an admin. You're like, oh, here we go, got this long, crazy URL again. But they've at least kind of gotten one little thorn out of our saddle here. So on the CMS side, as many of you may know, we do have like a Salesforce CMS product line, and it is a sort of for-fee product. But there are some you know, basic capabilities that CMS has that are integrated with Community or Experience Cloud. And so we've been making some enhancements around the kind of the fundamental data model and some of the capabilities that are helping us integrate you know, much better with not only at the data level, but also at the content level with other systems. All right, so I didn't really put anything much else in my presentation for sort of platform stuff other than Flow, because I think Flow got a ton of much needed attention. And for those of you that know me know that Flow is one of my favorite features or capabilities of Salesforce. And I feel like it's becoming so much, it's getting so much more investment and love. Like I kind of feel like it is now the problem solver. So, you know, I couldn't go without having like some sort of Suez Canal meme here. So this is why I love Flow so much, because this guy right here is like digging out this catastrophic, you know, sort of grounding here. So anyway, that was my feeble attempt at humor. But Flow really is a problem solver, and it's becoming really kind of the de facto, you know, point-and-click automation tool with, you know, with our new builder and so forth. So with that, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on some of the new Flow features here. So send email, supporting rich text. This was another one that I kind of mentioned earlier that, you know, kind of makes you wonder why we didn't have it there, but it is now. This one's super cool. So it used to be in, I don't know if Eric Braun is still on the call or not, but I happen to notice he peeked in, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, he and I were working on some project and we were figuring out some trigger for doing this, and it was all super custom code and all this crazy stuff. And, you know, now here we are, like however many years later, and we've got the ability to just do this with point-and-click declarative capability. So, you know, being able to bring in kind of the IDs of processed records in sort of the before and after sort of state, and then use that to trigger other functions, I think is really great. And it just, I think, underwrites a lot of the investment we've been making in this. This is another one that, you know, that just indicates sort of the consolidation that we're trying to do to, you know, eventually move folks off of sort of the traditional workflow, you know, more into a Flow Builder environment. And because that sort of scheduled or delayed sort of trigger capability was not fully built out in Process Builder, we, you know, kind of rethought that with the advent of Flow Builder and ways that we can improve, you know, those automations in a declarative way. And so that's really how we got to scheduled paths. And for those of you that use either Pardot or Marketing Cloud, you see a lot of similarities there. We are trying to get very common iconography and and so forth across all of our builders and so forth. So there's going to be some similarities there. So I wanted to point that out, that this is a different sort of canvas than what maybe some others are used to. All right, so any questions here? Because this was like one of my favorite features of Spring 21. Nope, okay.
No question,
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, no, not a question, but I completely agree with you. Those two things are huge.
Yeah, and this, I mean, for once, you don't need like a data science degree or something to figure out, how to debug a flow. So this was pretty long overdue, and even asking technical people internally at Salesforce how to debug some of these ones, especially if you're using invocable actions or linking to invocable flows or other things, it just becomes pretty impossible. And I think we finally heard all of the backlash from the admin devs out there. And then this kind of really goes hand in hand with it, right? It's just being able to get back to the spot, in the flow, and be able to do some debugging. I'm sorry, I might have cut somebody off there.
Hey, no problem. I was just going to ask, we've started using Flow a little bit more, and where would you recommend, just for like learning some best practices as we maybe start getting some complex ones right off the bat? Like, for instance, building multiple flows versus building one complex flow, and also using some of the previous values, some of the more resource intensive type things. So what do you have?
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, there's actually, we've done a couple of webinars on this particular topic. And so I'll find the URL to that recording and then just send it back through the user group admins. But essentially it is, basically determining which automation capability to use and when. And so it rationalizes everything from workflow, process builder flow, batch apex, triggers, you name it. So it goes through sort of that whole rationalization, what to use and when and why. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Stephen,
Absolutely.
George, I have another question as well. I totally agree with what you're saying about flows. I'm in the early stages of learning it, but on the debug, that requires an input to already have been put into the flow, correct? So you can't debug something if the value hasn't automatically been added. Is there a way ahead to resolve that issue? So for example, what is it that you can't debug? You can't debug a screen. Is it a screen flow?
Right.
So
Correct.
Is there a way ahead on that?
Well, and that is the on-canvas debugging is what that is intended for, where you can give it sample values and do this as the builder and walk through the flow in this regard. But in like being able to run it sort of live and debug it in that fashion, there's not anything that I'm aware of that's coming for that. Although there are some techniques that you can use, it's just a little tedious, where you are kind of writing values sort of behind the scenes to either a tracking object or some fields on the object you're working with.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. All right, great. So also multi-column screens. So this is in beta. This is another one I'm fairly certain is an open beta. And it just gives you more control over that layout. It's been just such a simple sort of canvas to work with traditionally, and I'm glad to see that we're getting some love on improving the layout and capability of some of those screen flows. This one here was one that had gotten voted up quite a bit around being able to control how variables got passed through multi-step flows. And so just thought this was worth pointing out that, you now have the ability to control, whether or not it requests a new input, or if it's going to just keep the ones in place. So moving on to dynamic actions, this is sort of more in line with just kind of general Lightning page functionality. But we started talking about dynamic actions a couple of releases back, and it's now GA, and includes custom objects as well as mobile, which I thought was a great addition. I hadn't really been keeping track of whether or not it was going to even be available for mobile, and frankly didn't think about it until I saw it here and realized that, like, yeah, I'm glad they are keeping that current, because just the more that we move into sort of this mobile interface, getting more parity there is really great. Okay, so getting actions on the highlight panel. This is something that was also in beta for some time, and then you basically have to just convert that so that it can support the dynamic action capability. But then once you've got that, you've got filter criteria and so forth for controlling that. Any questions there so far? All right. Well, we've got a few minutes left, so I think we're tracking okay in terms of what I got left. So so this is Lightning App Builder enhancements. Again, looking at performance, I think most, if not all of you that I've spoken with over the last several releases on performance, we've just every release, it's like kind of the number one, development gate that it has to pass is our performance team. And so, we've obviously been making a lot of improvement there, but we hadn't been giving a lot of that telemetry back to the admins, and with the exception of like some URL parameters to kind of enable stuff in the margins. This takes it considerably step further, where it's making some recommendations based on what it sees about a particular page, whether or not it's evaluating too much criteria to display something, and so forth. So I think, as we kind of move into this sort of new era of, more connected people, lower bandwidth because of mobile, performance will become, I think, more and more of an issue than it is already. And this was, I think, kind of in that same vein in terms of taking it to the layout and looking at what are those specific things that could be hindering performance on mobile devices. Yeah, I think maybe sometime in the future we could do probably just like a whole session on like Salesforce performance or something like that. I feel like there's a lot of folks that ask different questions about performance, and a lot of them go back to kind of similar things. But anyway, some thought starter there. So those of you that are supporting multilingual, we started getting a lot of the localization support in through our enhancements in the knowledge product, and has finally started getting that more broadly distributed into the core, and specifically into Lightning pages, so that sort of the translation capabilities that you've already put in place can be utilized better in Lightning. And then this one is, I don't know why that. Again, this is another one of those that just head scratcher, why we never had any sort of reporting on how to see who has what in terms of permission sets. So I think everybody has some form or fashion of an App Exchange app or something else installed in their org to see how permission sets are managed. But in this particular regard, we were slow to the party, but we finally got there. So the reporting, and I know it's not 100% complete. It's because we've kind of got it as a labs app. It'll just be on a kind of a steady release cycle until they kind of finish out the the remaining sprints for that. And this was kind of just a neat little bit, because I always kind of struggled with, not really struggled, but fought with pick lists a lot, is being able to protect your data integrity at sort of the data load level and at the inactive. And back to that performance topic too, like a lot of folks sometimes forget that even if there's a pick list value that's inactive in your org, if it's in that list, it's still getting sent down to the client, and so that can just affect performance, right? So that's another one of these areas where we've been looking at performance at a pretty detailed level, and still have a long way to go, but I think we're making the right headway. All right, so got a few minutes left here. I'm not sure how many folks have event monitoring, but we have been steadily making investments there as well to make it much more real time. So the common use case that we see customers use event monitoring on is in the event someone is deleting records either by accident or on purpose, or if they're downloading sensitive information, being able to sort of flag that in real time and alert whoever needs to be alerted based on whatever rules you have. So I thought I'd throw that in there. Just the evolution of our product is just requiring a lot more compliance capabilities be built out, and I'm sure all of you that have either worked in some sort of regulated industry would agree that compliance is not always the most fun thing to do. So we're trying to add some more tools in there to make it easier. In addition to having better monitoring tools, better tools for your end users or end customers to request right to forget or managing their privacy. Any questions so far? I think I made it. I think this is a world record. Like, I think we've got enough time for questions.
Yeah, wow. I'm like having to play.
Well, I felt so bad in prior meetings where we'd kind of run long and people had questions, and so I figured we'd kind of change up our approach a little bit.
No, we still have 40 minutes left, so people feel free to hop on camera and to ask questions. We have plenty of time left.
Awesome.
And while that was going on, I think someone just joined too. Awesome. So what was everyone's favorite feature?
Mine was debug. Debug flows. Yep.
I'm also a big fan of being able to reference the prior value and flows.
Ah, yeah. Actually, George just beat you to it. He threw that in the chat.
Oh.
Yeah, I like the dashboard one, wherein you can put in your parameters in the URL. That will be really handy for the users.
Yes.
And but on that same thing, like I have a question, and I mean it's kind of we have already pressing on that idea from long time. So on the dashboards we don't see the dynamic filters, right? I mean, wherein you can pull in the values from a list of users, or let's say from a list of any of the objects. And it has not been enabled. So, any estimations on that particular feature being available in the near future?
Yeah, I don't necessarily, unless you're setting it up as like a bucket filter or something like that. I think that level of design and query is probably going to be something that would be in our Tableau CRM product rather than operational analytics. But yeah, I mean, it is an interesting question about, you know, whether to what depth do we go with the metadata being available in, you know, not only query, but sorting and filter and so forth. I think it's a valid question. I just don't know the full answer yet, because we've, you know, it's kind of generally got this pretty clear line between doing advanced metadata, sort of slicing and dicing would always be in our more advanced analytic sort of tool set. But it's a great question.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
I do have a question about the link you were talking about putting in for workflows versus process builder versus flows.
Yeah.
And with Salesforce kind of doing away with any new improvement to process builder and workflow and the efforts that they are putting in flow, is there really any reason to be still using those, process builder or flow or workflow?
Yeah, you know, in some cases there might be, but you're certainly right. I think the bulk of what, at least from what I recall of that webinar, is that the bulk of it is really the rationalization between how you're using Process Builder as the front end for Flow. But now that Flow has become much more of like a central automation, you know, feature, that really just kind of comes down to, is it sort of the flow and all of the related things to Flow, or is it custom code? Like, that's kind of, I think, where we are. So it's certainly a valid question in terms of like some of the older capabilities. What wouldn't surprise me is that we would, and this is, again, all pure speculation on my part, it wouldn't surprise me if we had some sort of lightning-esque version of workflow that's just for simple things. And it also wouldn't surprise me if we made that available to end users so that they could sort of have their own sort of little mini, like, automation or reminder sort of process, right? Similar to, like, you know, dovetailing macros and task connectivities kind of thing. That's where I kind of see the user experience going, just enabling more functionality in you know, in automation in the user's hands, because, you know, everyone's working from home now. Probably most people will continue working from home, and so I think the more capability that they can give end users that doesn't interfere with their ability to do their job, which is like the holy grail, right? But yeah, it's a great question.
I like the continued growth and expansion of making things dynamic on the page. I think
Yeah,
that's cool.
And it makes so much sense too when you think about the mobile experience, being able to understand before you even send, you know, a response of data down to a mobile device that might be bandwidth constrained. You don't have to send all of these other components or cards or other things down to the device. So there's a whole art in to sort of designing how that mobile UI kind of performs. So there's lots of good content out there on the Trailblazer community.
Awesome. And I am setting up a poll really quick while I have a lot of people to figure out when everyone would feel safe to return to a user group meeting in person. I figured while I have 20-something people here, we could take advantage of all the time we have left over, which is nice. And we can figure out when people want to come back in person. So Kate, let me know when that poll is ready to go. Oh, actually, I might have the option. Haha. So you should have a poll option at the bottom of your screen. It's just one question. Just pick one answer. When would you feel safe to return to a user group meeting in person? And there's no right or wrong answer.
I wanted to say too that one of the other things I was excited about is that there's a marketing cloud group. That makes me happy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited about the marketing cloud group. I have to I sent the leader an email. I'm trying to get connected with them. Eventually they'll answer.
Who is it?
It's on the website. Let me go navigate really quickly.
Never mind, you don't have to.
Oh, it's very fast to find out. It's my internet though. Let's see. Austin, Texas. 14. Oh, I gotta move the participant chat. It was a name I have not recognized before in Austin. So that's why I was like, that's weird that I didn't know that name. I mean, not that I know everyone, but I feel like I know a good amount of people in Austin. Jonathan Murray. So, don't know that. So I'm going to end the poll and we're going to, so the majority of people said summer, and then the next majority, close because we have a small crowd, said fall. So probably maybe like July, August, the earliest, because that's still summer, but then that's kind of like close to fall. Cool. That was just for information. We have no plans for July or August or June yet, but it's always a work in progress. I guess, Chris, are you able to share your screen for the swag winners? Or do you want me?
I can do that. One moment.
I figure you have the slideshow open.
Yep. One moment. Okay.
I know, I know exactly what you mean, Jill. We weren't gonna say that CPQ group, it's a great way to learn CPQ for free from who I refer to as the CPQ queen. And I did not say it, but it happened to be at the same time as this. But anyways, so Salesforce has given us some new ways to give out swag. I think in January, we gave out Salesforce store gift cards. In February, we observed the disaster that happened and we gave back to the community. But this month, we have Trailhead store gift cards. So these are like cash, they're $50 towards the Trailhead store where you can use to buy the Legos or other Trailhead branded stuff that you may or may not have. And the winners are Kathy Vance, Andy Adkins, and George H. Sarabia. So if you could please send me your email, because I get to do the fun process of buying them, submitting for reimbursement, and allocating them.
Congratulations.
So make sure y'all ping me your email, otherwise you will not get them. Yeah, Salesforce doesn't let us see your email in the user group portal because GDPR or something. So we need everyone to send it to me.
Yeah, and they can just chat that to you privately, right?
Yep. And writing it down. And I believe a lot of people, while we have my computer doesn't want me to paste. While we have time, a lot of people had questions about BAM, like what is BAM? Patricia, did you want to explain what is BAM?
Well, what it is in Austin is, as I said before, free training from beginner to whatever for Salesforce. It is a program, as Zach said, started by Leah McGowan Hare. Well, I think she started it. Anyway, she was over it when it started. to be a multiplier. And the word, it was summer of 2018, believe it or not, they said they were talking about that there'd be 3.3 million new jobs in by 2023 in the Salesforce ecosystem, and there were not that many people in the pipeline. So they asked us all to be a multiplier. And I sort of caught the vision and had a meeting in October that year, 2018, and we thought we would have about a dozen people come, or we hoped we would. We had 40-something people come, and the next time we had 50 and more. We just finished one that had 60 registrants. So we have the way we do it is that we use Trailhead, which is what they want us to do, or how it's designed rather, and we have a beginner class, and we go through some things to kind of teach what Salesforce glossary sort of things. And then we do some the lemonade stand and some fun things and the battle station to teach. And Jack just finished one of those. The second one, we use the recruitment app to teach more skills. And the third one, we look toward the certification percentages of what's important. And we'll do trailheads. The homework is trailheads for the coming week, like on reports and dashboards or process automation. And then that week we discuss, since you've done your homework and you have all your questions, we go deeper into best practices and tips and tricks that the admins know. And as I said, the last one that we do is a flow. Brian Richter did that, and he does a really good job. So we do this we were doing it when we were meeting in person at Goodwill. They have a wonderful training facility. And we'll probably be back there maybe in September. But now we're virtual, and we've had people, as the same with the user groups, from all over the world, really, but mostly all over the country, coming to take our classes. And we can do it because of the awesome community members in Austin, like Zach. Happy has helped. Chelsea has helped. I don't want to say any more because I'll skip someone, but anyway, we can do it because everybody helps us do this. We have helpers and teachers in the class, and you're just doing trailhead with people. I think it was easy, wasn't it, Zach?
Yeah, it was easy. So I've been a helper back when we were in person once upon a time, and I've done the Ernie class, not in person. So I've only done I did the Aster class, not the Aster. The Aster one is the beginner level, get them set up on their computer, get them on Trailhead, like very basic level. It's kind of like if you've ever done tech support, you may have some people who they're just learning about Trailhead for the first time, or even how to log into an account. So it's a lot of patience and just walking people through how to get set up. And then after that first class, you go through like the Lemonade Stand app, and I won't give out everything, of course, but you just go from there and slowly build up.
Exactly. This is George. If I can just put in a plug for this as well. I had the privilege of being with Patricia the last 4 weeks for the Flow version, the cloudy version, with Brian Richter as our instructor. And great instruction, and also great crosstalk from the group, a lot of really experienced users. So I learned just as much from the group as I did from the instructor. It was great.
And Brandon just asked what the program was called. It was called Be a Multiplier. And Patricia will probably beat me to dropping the link in the chat. I know it was dropped earlier. Aha, here it is. Did she beat me? No, she hasn't beat me yet. Boop. So it's going to be happening in May. It's just free learning where you can continue your education with Salesforce, where we just help each other learn through Trailhead. But while we're still chatting, because we still have plenty of time, I've launched a Salesforce salary survey in the United States, and I haven't really advertised it too much to the user group because I've been waiting a little bit. So, but anyways, I launched a salary survey on my blog. So historically, I've done an Austin, Texas focused salary survey, But this year I'm doing it nationwide because I got a lot of pings from people asking me to like come to their user group. So I'm trying to think of a way to like create a dashboard where you can filter on your city, but that's more of the technical stuff. Anyways, there are over 180 Salesforce salaries in that data set right now. The data set is open source, so you can see over 100 Salesforce salaries across many different positions right on my blog, but I'll drop the link in the chat if you would like to take the salary survey, and I'll advertise it better once I chat with Chris and Cindy about it. But I wanted to make sure I finally spoke about it here and that I'm not neglecting to bring that up. But yeah, there are a lot of good salaries. I think the highest one I saw was like somebody had a base salary of 270K. I'm like, that's wild. What else to talk about? Does anyone else want to take the floor and talk about anything? We haven't seen each other in so long.
I'll just blab some more. I am planning, sorry, I can't talk. I'm planning to have the nonprofit user group meet on April 21st from 10:30 to 12:15 because that's the, what am I trying to say? The Salesforce.org. That's the, what is it called?
Nonprofit Summit, Patricia.
Yeah, the summit, and that's their keynote. So we thought we would have a watch party, and maybe we can ask questions when it's over and chat in the chat window about what we think is awesome and not. I've heard that they're going to announce some amazing things, and I want to tell you that some of the things that nonprofit people, they create stuff like every 2 weeks they add to that, and a lot of it's translatable to for-profit. So come look and see what's being invented in the nonprofit world. Join us for the watch party, and I'll send out an invitation one of these days.
In Bevy, Patricia, you can now actually select watch party as a meeting type, and it's like all configured for you, and it works great.
Say that again?
Yeah, so if you're in Bevy and you're creating like the user group event, if you click new event, there's a new option for watch party, and it works great. I'm not sure if it's gonna still be branded to the Success World Tour, but it worked really well when I used it for the World Tour, and I'm hoping they let us keep it for past that.
Thank you.
So just wanted to let you know about that. Speaking of the World Tour, I was really excited when they announced Salesforce meetings in the World Tour. They mentioned, somebody in the chat was saying how it could be like, if anyone uses Twitch here, you've probably heard the term OBS. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but basically it allows you to like video edit your live feed onto Twitch, which is how people do the crazy effects. And somebody said, oh, Salesforce meetings will have like a light version of that. And so I just think that's going to be wild with being able to put like GIFs or video overlays or more overlays on your video and creating like cool presentations or meetings rather. But it may also be forward looking, but everything is.
I have another release question. I saw people writing about it and I never got an answer to it. That MOAR, more this and more that. Where did that come from and what the heck is it? No one knows.
You're muted.
Double mute killed me. No, it's another sort of internet acronym meme sort of thing. It's just like it sort of stands for more in a really good way. Like you're kind of cheering on like more because you really like what you see.
Yeah, C, Can I has cheeseburger for more information.
or more.
Patricia,
oh, go ahead, Zach.
Oh no, I was going to ask Patricia something unrelated. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to ask Patricia where we could find more information on the nonprofit summit. Were you asking that question for me?
Yeah, I saw you were in the chat, so I was like, oh, let me just ask Patricia.
Well, I typically just Google things and it comes up. But if you want to watch the watch party with us, it'll be on a community invitation soon, maybe tomorrow. But it's free. I do know that. And I don't think it's like a full week. I think I think that was a Wednesday that it starts on maybe. And so maybe it's just the rest of the week or Wednesday, Thursday and half a day Friday, something like that. I think it's the first ever one of these. So it's very cool.
So if you sign up for Patricia's nonprofit user group, you can join her mailing list. And when she publishes a new event, you'll get a notification. So then that way you can RSVP for it. And I dropped the link in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I know there's a lot of links going in the chat today. Awesome. Well, now it's 7:16. That's typically when we cut off the presentation, do Q&A, but we already did Q&A. But feel free to come to the floor. But if nobody wants to come to the floor, we're also happy to end the meeting here and give everyone some time back. So we want to say again, thank you to Stephen Frers for doing this for the 5th time. And did you want to say anything, Stephen?
Well, just thank you for the opportunity, and next time I'll spend a little more time on it. I'll bring a little more content next time. We'll get it dialed in, right?
Yeah, we'll get it dialed in. We'll figure it out. But no, you're right. Like sometimes I'm like having to do like 5 minutes or like 10 minutes. Or
I know. Good. Well, I look forward to seeing everybody in person whenever we can get that done safely. So.
Yes. Stay tuned. Yeah. We'll be working with Chris and Cindy for when that may be, and then we get to figure out venues and food and all that fun stuff again.
I know, back to that. I was wondering, just to throw this out for you and right in front of everybody, if that for that first one, if we wanted to do something maybe joint. Just kind of.
Oh yeah. I was like, what does she mean by joint? And I was like, oh yeah, like yeah.
Different kind of joint.
I believe Cindy was wanting to do something joint because typically Salesforce does something joint, like either it's the global gathering or, I mean, they did the world tour and we would typically do that joint, but they just had one. So maybe, yeah, we could definitely talk about that. That would be fun.
We do Christmas joint, but sort of a happy to get back together type thing.
Oh yeah, like a celebration. We're back. Not that we left, but we're back in person. Yeah, I'll send an email thread with Chris, Cindy, and everyone and see who wants to participate. We can get that ball rolling. It probably won't happen in June just because a lot of people want it in fall. So it'll probably be, if we do summer, it'll be late summer is what I'm thinking. But all work in progress. But thank you everyone for spending your evening with us.
Can I just mention a job opportunity real quick?
Oh yes, we did not.
Please do.
So my company is currently looking for a project manager with Salesforce experience. So if you are looking for a job and have PM experience, I put my work email. Let me put my personal email. But yeah, send me an email and we can talk and I can forward along your information.
Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And same for my company. We are hiring consultants, senior consultants, project managers, so I can drop mine in there as well because they are hiring quickly.
Cool.
So connect with Happy Heichel and Chelsea Kung if you're looking for a new job. Did anyone want to pop up and say they're looking for a job or forever hold your breath? We forgot to do that.
Hey, this is Sean. I am currently looking for some kind of Salesforce position, and I have project management experience. So Chelsea, I am sending you an email right now.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you for interrupting me, Chelsea. That was bad on bad on me for ending before we did that.
No problem.
Chelsea, how do you say the name of your company?
It's called Iquius.
How do you spell that?
AI. Go for it, Patricia.
Yours.
It's AIQUEOUS.
Uh-huh.
I heard of them yesterday.
They're right next to First Texas Honda, according to Google Maps. They are North Austin. Cool. I've never heard of them.
We're very small. It's
I
like,
heard of them. They did some work for San Antonio Water.
Yep, they're one of our clients.
And I thought y'all were wonderful.
Yay.
I hope it was you.
It's not me. But yeah, we're very small. We're 10 people right now.
Awesome. Gotta love startups. Awesome. Now I am going to officially end the meeting. Thank you for keeping me accountable, Chelsea. And I hope everyone has a good evening.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.